I'm going to invite someone on stage who, as soon as you start talking to him, he's going to draw you into the depth of his thoughts. He literally blossoms when you invite him to reflect on the meta-crisis of our times. And he does so because he combines a great ability from complexity awareness with a really deep care for our tender human species. For the past 15 years, he has been communicating the importance of evidence-based inner development to leadership, sustainability, and systems change. And today, he will do what he does best, and he will take us on a meta level of what inner development actually is. The ones who've heard him before know that he does not shy away from challenging realities, but he for sure will be there to remind us that we don't have to go through it alone, that we can hold the complexities together. Please welcome Erik Fernholm.
Please take a deep breath with me. So it's becoming more and more clear, I think, for me, and I'm guessing for you as well, that we are not facing a sustainability crisis. We are facing a behavioral crisis. So it's what we do. It's who we are. It's how we collaborate. Thank you. One species a day is roughly what we're losing. In almost every raindrop on the planet, we find poisonous chemicals, forever chemicals that won't disappear. A recent study I read, not yet peer-reviewed, but still very powerful, showed that 0.5% of the mass of our brains is plastic. Yeah. And we're putting it there, right? So I had a conversation with the aggregated knowledge of our time through an AI. And I asked it to personify the culture that we're living in. And I called him Adam. And I asked what he's afraid of. Why we're doing this. What is holding him back from taking in the reality that we're not processing, because we're acting completely irrational. And he said, I'm afraid that if I don't stop running, people will outrun me and I will die. So I have to keep on running. I have to have more. I have to have more money, more power. So, how do we treat somebody who's afraid? How do we meet them? How do we take care of this situation, right? Because we're all part of it. Are you ready for an experiment? Yes. I heard one no. Okay, please close your eyes. Thank you. Take a deep breath. And recollect a situation where you did something you were ashamed of. You did something that you were embarrassed by. Something that you don't feel is who you want to be. Maybe it's something you didn't tell anybody of. Maybe it's something that you haven't told anybody. Now, see what you saw when you were there. Hear what you heard when you were there. And seeing it through your eyes, bring back those emotions. Breathe into it. Okay. So, we said that we're going to make a brave space. So what I'm going to do is ask one of you to come up on stage with me, and we'll work through this. So the person who I've chosen is already chosen. So what me and the team have done is put post-it notes on all of the seats, underneath all of the seats. Yeah, I know a lot of you saw them already. If you do not have a post-it note, you're welcome on stage. So check. Okay. I love the reaction, right? I'm seeing some people like, oh my God, never. Okay. So, how many in the room thought, oh my God, I hope my neighbor is not going to go up? Can we have a raise of hands? No, you thought, I hope my neighbor is going up because I'm not, right? I'll sacrifice them any day. Now they're just, like before they were my friend, now they're just a neighbor. Yeah. How many of you saw yourself coming up on stage, sharing vulnerably with everybody else, and then seeing, it's going to be fine. Like in a week, we'll be able to laugh about it. In 10 years at least, depending on the situation, maybe in 10 years you'll be able to laugh about it. No, you thought if you go up here, you will die. Right? It'll be the last thing I do. That's the emotion, right? That's the experience. We don't need men in smoky rooms with big cigars on the top of skyscrapers to create egocentric, short-sighted behavior. We have it in us, right? And if we believe that we don't, then we have a problem, okay? So all wisdom cultures that I've met, they always have a narrative for this. Even systems theories have a narrative for this. It's called multipolar traps, or Moloch, or Wetiko, or in religious context, the devil, right? And the way that they catch us is that we don't believe that they exist. I don't believe that I have this short-sightedness, egocentric part of myself, right? So therefore I can't look for it. I don't even believe it's there. And that's how we get trapped, right? That's one of the traps. So, there are a few more. There are a few more. So, can we get the slide up? There, thank you. Okay. So some of the traps, the worldview that we've been shaped by is very much rational man knows why he or she is doing what they are doing and optimizing for their goals. If they get what they want, they'll be happy. Success. In the being domain, this is being individualistic and separate. This is asking, what's in it for me? Right? When entering any situation, what's in it for me? I mean, that's the starting point of disconnection. But it's usually the starting point of business relationships, right? Instead of, what can we create here that would be more beautiful? Second trap, thinking, reductionistic, linear, short-sighted, where the Western mind thinks of a bee, and that was the symbol for the IDGs for a while back. That was like the animal spirit of the IDGs. flying around, not being able to fly physically. A lot of physicists, they don't think that bees should be able to fly, but the IDGs was like, we're going to fly anyway. And pollinating, right? But when the Western mind defines the bee, it almost never includes the flower, right? But they're a bee-flower system, but we separate. Another trap. In the relating domain, transactional, extractive, despiritualized. It's like, I would never subjugate the Western mind to anything other than my will. Instead of saying, you know what? There's something sacred that I am in service of that's higher than me and that I will actually be in service of. Collaborating. Self-optimize, even at the expense of the whole. And finally, acting. From a sense of importance and of flow. The faster we move, the more engaging it is. If we just have a clear goal, direct feedback, full concentration, this is the conditions of flow. But it is also the conditions of not reflecting. The more engaged we are in what we're doing, the more sucked into the experience, the less able we are to reflect on direction. Another trap, structural, not in the dimensions, is also the financial structure that we have. And to say that there is a trap to saying if I have external ownership that pushes me to quarterly only deliver on financial means, that means that I have a much harder time actually acting for other values, right? And I think this is one of the conversations we really need to have. So, thank you. The developmental perspective is a different frame of thinking. And I think one of the most important things around the developmental perspective is that it assumes incompleteness. It assumes that we are work in progress. Because if I believe that you can develop, I also believe that parts of me are underdeveloped, right? So I'm saying you and I are incomplete. Maybe we could be more complete if we work together, but we are incomplete. And just like science discovered not knowledge, but ignorance, moving from dogma to ignorance, it said, let's embrace ignorance and let's find out how we understand not knowing. I think the developmental perspective is actually embracing incompleteness. And that's hopeful. If we're just willing to be open, transparent with where we are, and act from that and learn, that is hope. So, to develop means to uncover, right? It's actually not the process of addition, it's a process of uncovering. And I think that no matter the issue that we're facing today, no matter if it's climate change, if it's species extinction, if it's PFAS, upstream of that is a developmental potential. So no matter what you care about, if we go for development first, or in addition to that, we can actually change any problem. So the IDGs, we have some tensions in the room. How many think that we are turning into a sect? Let's be honest. Come on, be honest. Okay, great, thank you. How many think that we're being captured by corporate? Hands up, be honest. Come on. Okay? How many think that we're too simplistic? Okay? How many think that we are way too scientific? Okay, so this is our space, right? This is the tension that we have. We're a story. We're a story saying, you know what, inner development is important, we all can change, right? And this is one aspect, one leverage point of changing the world that we see. And we don't know how to navigate this space. We have all these tensions, but we do believe that together we can actually do this. So, I need to check my notes. Okay, so if we embrace incompleteness, I think that there's a different type of hope here. The old world is a world of completeness. It's a world of nouns. It's a world of your life is a journey. And we even have it somewhat in the framework. We say that people are in the being category. That's a fixed word, right? It's a noun instead of becoming. And I think that there is this invitation that maybe we should change this, right? That there's a different metaphor for life, that life is not a journey in this territory that is known. What if the metaphor was this? Life is not a journey. The point is not to get to the end. What if life is like music? The point is to appreciate it. It's the sacred gift that we've gotten. The point is to add to it. It's to dance. The point of music is to dance. It's not to arrive at the end note, right? And I think one of the biggest tensions that I see in the IDGs, or in the world today actually, and this hit me so hard just a week ago, in a conversation with a woman who had taken part of the immense data points of the state of the world today, and she expressed that it's too late. I'm too small. I have no resources. I have no skills to navigate complexity. I'm overwhelmed. I give up. That was what she told me. And I was like, how do I respond? How do I respond? And then it hit me. So this year, we've had a tough time in my family. Moa had 3 lumps in her breast. But everything was fine. Eventually, the mammography turned out fine. But if the doctor had come back and said, terminal cancer, there's nothing you can do, what would we have done? If that was your family, what would you do? Would you say, there's nothing I can do? I'm giving up? I'm going back to work? No. You would do everything you could. You'd stop doing everything you know wouldn't help. Take a breath with me, please. And you would do everything you could that would have the smallest chance of changing this, right? The odds be damned. It does not matter. The odds are insignificant because this is what love does. Love looks at these questions and says, thank you. Love looks at adversity straight in the eye and says, it does not matter because this is sacred. Life is this gift that we've been given. This is what we're here to serve. So how do we bring this home? The best example I've heard in my entire life was from a researcher involved in the early days of the IDGs. His name is Frank Bond. And he taught me that there's one question you can ask yourself in any situation. The day he taught me this, I was heading home. Moa called me. I was super late. And I saw her on the phone. I was in the car. I'm heading home. Our first son was then 4 months old. She calls. And I see it. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to answer once I'm on the highway. Because then I can say that I'm on the highway. And that sounds so much closer to home. But it's not. So I was hiding, right? I was hiding. And then he asked me, and then Frank Bond had taught me this question, right? This is the question. Am I acting to avoid discomfort or for who I am to be? And it was so clear that I had to answer the phone. So Moa called again. I picked up the phone and she said, I know you're late, Erik. But I hope you haven't left because our son is having an allergic reaction. You have to stop by the pharmacy or else I'm calling the ambulance. And we live way into the forest, so it's hard for them to find us. And I'm so glad Small decisions mean so much over time. And I think what we need today is a movement with this as the starting point, saying, you know what, maybe inner development should be available to everyone, no matter financial means. Maybe it even should be a human right, because this is how we solve the biggest problems. And maybe this is how we also show up with the greatest care that we possibly can right now. Thank you. Oh, we're staying, right?
If you do not find a post-it on your bag, you stay here for a question. How do you embrace your own incompleteness?
Like, honestly, I think I just presume always that it's there. And that's like what I'm doing in the IDGs as well. It's like, what are we missing? Like, this is growing too big, too fast. We're just 3 years old. Like, we should be in diapers still. So how do we really, if we accept incompleteness, and we're not afraid of it, if we just accept it, then looking into the flaws, highlighting the tensions, that's nothing that can scare us, right? And I think this is probably the best gift we can give to each other, because it's so much more gentle than the kind of performing, instead, like just showing up.
Reminding each other of our incompleteness with love. Thank you so much for giving that to us in the IDG. Thank you, Erik.